Another month, another book for us to review. This one was selected by you guys on our community tab. We went ahead and did a poll on there. In fact, we did a poll for the next book that we will be covering. We'll let you guys know what that one was in a little bit. But first of all, let's dive on into Fahrenheit 451. Just like every time we've done one of these book reviews, we have given away a free book. I would like to congratulate Rachel for winning our last book we gave away. If you want to know how to enter in and win a free book yourself, we will be covering that at the end of this video.
Written by Ray Bradbury and first published in 1953, Fahrenheit 451 tells of a dystopia in the year 2049. Where firemen, instead of putting out fires, burn books because they're outlawed. It pictures a hedonistic society that looks for the next thrill, despises family connections, and takes no time to think about how they actually live. The story follows fireman Guy Montag on his journey of awakening. As a drone to the system, he walks through his routine, numb to social interactions and relationships, and void of deep thinking. He, like everyone else, rewards himself with entertainment after a day of work until one day, when burning books in the house that sheltered them, the homeowner refused to leave. The old woman clung to her books. This so profoundly impacted Montag that he started wondering what was so special about books. Thus began his quest that ends with a phoenix rising from the ashes and hope for a new world.
So as to the content you guys can expect in this book.
So gore would be high, violence medium.
So that's what to expect from this book here. What are your personal impressions on this one, John Newton?
Well, I didn't have to read this in high school. It's one of those I just passed over with all the other readings there, but I hear a lot of other people did have to read it. And I never have read it just until recently. I was surprised with it was well written. I guess I shouldn't surprise you since it's such a popular book, at least for the era and so forth. But there was a lot of interesting information that applies to today. There are several quotes that are in there. There must be something in books, something we can't imagine, to make a woman stay in a burning house. There must be something there. You don't stay for nothing. Another quote was, books were only one type of receptacle where we stored a lot of things. We were afraid we might forget. There is nothing magical in them at all. The magic is only in what books say, how they stitch together the patches of the universe together into one garment for us. And finally, the third quote that I pull out would be, remember, the firemen are rarely necessary. The public itself stopped reading of its own accord. You firemen provide a circus now and then, at which buildings are set off and crowds gather for the pretty blaze. But it's a small sideshow indeed, and hardly necessary to keep things in line. So few want to be rebels anymore. And out of those few, most, like myself, scare easily.
For my personal impression, I was really impressed right off the bat with the world building. It was excellently done. I was pulled immediately into this world. There really wasn't any hardships with it. I didn't feel that there were any real dead spots in this book. I think the pacing was excellent. I think all in all, it paints, unfortunately, a very scary picture all in all. It brings up the question of the importance of books, why we need to have them, and why someone would want to burn the books, why they would want to keep them out of the consumer's hands. I think it paints a very interesting political picture. Definitely in our current age, there's a lot that happens within this book that I could see some political parties using nowadays.
So a little bit of trivia with this book. the name Fahrenheit 451, Bradbury chose it because he was told that paper spontaneously combusts at 451 degrees Fahrenheit. In 1966, the release of the theatrical version of the book, the film's credits were spoken, not read, in keeping with the film's theme of destruction of reading material. And Bradbury gave several reasons for writing the book. In a 1994 interview, Bradbury cited political correctness as an allegory for censorship in the book, calling it, quote, the real enemy these days, unquote. He also made some really spot-on predictions of the future. Now, remember, this was written in the early 1950s, right after World War II. That's fresh on people's minds and everything. But he predicted that there would be walls where there were entire walls as television screens. Well, we now have large screen TVs that hang from the wall, and they get bigger and bigger. So maybe he was right about that. He also predicted teenage inner city violence. We now have flash mobs gutting retail stores, the knockout game attacking random strangers, and the riots of the Summer of Love. He also predicted a jaded society more interested in quick pleasure and entertainment than serious introspection or even talking to their neighbors. That hasn't happened at all. And entertainment based on violence. Yeah, that's pretty close to the mark. There are some other things that he missed, like mechanical dogs that chase you down at night. Thank God we don't have those yet. But
we are getting close. I've seen some of those videos.
He said, yeah. What was the name of the Boston Dynamics? Maybe they're working on that.
So, okay. Well, the main topic of this entire book is, of course, book banning or book burning. What are your thoughts on that, John?
So this has really come to light recently in the last year or so with restriction of books in schools to minors, making sure that books are age appropriate. And that's nothing new. We've been doing that for years. But the accusation has been made that that's book banning or book restriction. And you might say, well, there are certain books that you took out of school a while back, like the Bible, that are not allowed back in. So who's banning books? We just, some people down there want to make sure that they are age appropriate. So this book has been cited as to say, hey, we don't want to have a mindless society that doesn't think for itself. I agree with those people 100% that we do want to have a society that thinks deeply, that can read, explore thoughts, and so forth. But there are some things, pornography and other issues, that are not appropriate for younger children that we would want to protect our kids from.
Yes, like Dr. Seuss, right?
Yes, that was banned.
Yeah, books that have actually been banned.
By one side that is now accusing the other side. But we don't want to get too political on this. This is just the reason why this book has come up.
So if you wanted to enter into the book giveaway, we'll finally give you that information here. If you want to, the steps are very simple. It is free to enter. All you have to do is like this video, subscribe, go down to the description. There's a link to John's newsletter and sign up for that. It's a very simple process. And then we will pick from the people who have applied to give out a free copy of this book that we've reviewed. The next book that we will be reviewing, based again upon our community, is the book called Dune. And that one is going to be an interesting one to do.